Wholly oversaturated blockbuster Batman. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome at long last to another special edition of the animated Batcave. Oh, yes. BlueDragonFive, we've been kind of on a hiatus with the animated Batcave after going through the two-part Two-Face storyline. We hope to get back on it sooner rather than later, but a special occasion has come about that has caused us to want to kind of go back to the Batcave and look at a very particular animated Batman installment. So why don't you regale the folks with the backstory on this whole thing? The world's finest, the Batman Superman animated movie.
Yeah, so we're jumping forward a little again to kind of time it with another particular kind of Batman Superman related event.
I wonder what that could be. I can't imagine what.
So let's go back to 1997 for a moment. Let's go back to the origin story of this special. So this special originally is actually the movie of this, the Batman Superman movie World's Finest, actually is 3 individual episodes of Superman the Animated Series strung together into an hour-long movie.
Okay.
So basically 3 20-minute episodes put together into a movie.
Gripping the untold story.
Yes, but much more satisfying.
Much more satisfying, yeah.
So essentially, here's the backstory. So again, we're in the 2nd season of Superman the Animated Series. It's doing well. Kids WB wants more Batman. See, on the original Batman the Animated Series run was on Fox, and that ended on Fox since they canceled it. And Kids WB said, we love Batman the Animated Series. Why don't you guys do some more of that? And they practically, since the old days of Batman the Animated Series, in the writers' room, they've always kind of been practically waiting for a crossover between Batman and Superman. Like, when are they going to cross over? When are we going to do it?
Sure.
So they get many of their great writers like Stan Berkowitz. Basically, for each of the 3 parts, basically each installment has different writers. So the first part is probably the best part, has the best Batman writers on it. Oddly enough, you have Alan Burnett and Paul Dini. So your main Joker writer and your main the guy who wrote the Two-Face 2-parter.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys did part 1. Steve Gerber did the creator of Howard the Duck, by the way.
Can you kind of break down the 3 parts just so I'm kind of clear?
Okay, I was going to do that a little later on, but okay.
I'm sorry.
1.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You were. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, want me to just keep going then?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I forgot we're going to break it up into 3 acts. Yeah.
So our 3 acts are 3 parts. The first part is by Alan Burnett and Paul Dini. Second part was by Steve Gerber, the creator of Howard the Duck.
Nice.
And the third one was Stan Berkowitz, who's kind of in charge of he wrote a lot of Batman Beyond, but he also adapted some of the DC original animated films, such as New Frontier, which is a big hit.
Uh-huh.
So basically, we get kind of really a crack staff of writers that have been working on Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series, working on this through a big collaborative effort. Some other things in particular that kind of came about this big special for the first time. This is where we first got the redesigns for Batman, because this is before he got the New Adventures of Batman show. Is what led to that. So
I assume it's the first redesign of the Joker, too.
Yes, the first redesigns of Batman.
Filed that under pros and cons.
Yes. So essentially, it was the first redesigns for the Batman universe with a little glimpse we get of Gotham and some familiar characters from Gotham to fit the new. And the reason for that redesign, just by the way, to recap, I know we probably said this a few times when we've covered some of the holiday stuff, like Holiday Nights for Christmas in July. Basically, the redesign was to fit the new streamlined style of Superman, because think about it, they go through Batman the Animated Series, which is a great artful piece of just fantasticness, and then they go to a new show, Superman the Animated Series, different show, different kind of style, and they realize they're evolving their methods. It's a much easier style to animate. It looks really dynamic. Bruce Timm really likes the streamlined style even more so, and they kind of figure, okay, well, we got to put Batman in that so it doesn't look kind of out of place, and hence the redesigns for the DC shows onward, which keeps getting refined with each show, if you notice. Which leads you to kind of positives like a suaver Bruce Wayne, and let's just put a pin in it. Some not so good looks with the Joker.
The eyes or the lack of eyes.
So we'll get into pros and cons. So And last thing to mention with our backgrounds, right, this importantly was the first time, if ever, but the very least for Batman, they used the TMS animation studio. See, the Batman the Animated Series went through various different kind of overseas animation studios, and this one was a biggie. TMS, they did a lot of the Animaniacs animation.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Animaniacs, and I believe maybe a little bit of Tiny Toons, but essentially these guys are like kind of top of the line guys that are doing the animation here, and I believe it's a Japanese studio, if I'm remembering correctly. And the hilarious little mini story I'm going to give you here, because it was the first time they were working with Batman. And they've done. I believe. I want to say if this isn't just the first time they've done this for them in general, they might have done some Superman before, so it would still make this work. When they had Batman in a storyboard, Bruce Timm is like kind of with the translators and everything, and he's basically figuring out they had Batman flying in a storyboard, and he's asking, is Batman flying?" And they said, "Well, you know, it's because he has a cape." It basically,
Okay.
I believe it's in Japan because they have like, according to them, it's like kind of like a Zentai thing, like the old styles, like people in kind of your Spider-Man suits, they don't fly, but people in the capes they do fly.
That actually makes some sense. I can respect that.
And
Culturally.
then there was like a little fun miscommunication on the first time they're working with Batman. It's like, oh yeah, he's a cape, of course he flies. So essentially, that's the origin. That said, let's get into some good old nostalgia, some great memories we have of this.
Okay, I only have one source of nostalgia for this on my end, and that would be the. Correct me if I'm wrong, BlueDragonFive. Was it the Cartoon Network Theater, or what was it? The Cartoon Network.
It was technically it was Toonami, but I want to say it was
No, it wasn't Toonami. I'm not thinking of Toonami. I'm
I know
thinking
it did.
something entirely different.
I know they did have ads for it airing on Toonami for
that doesn't surprise me that this aired on Toonami, but I'm thinking of something different. I'm thinking of like when Cartoon Network would air their animated films, and they'd air stuff like the Iron Giant. Let's see, stuff like the Flintstones meet the Jetsons, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, good.
I remember those being, again, like this, I kind of remember those being kind of big show-stopping events, like the prize fight you're watching. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was the Cartoon Network equivalent to a prize fight, yes.
Essentially, that's
like every week they'd have one. And I just remember the Batman-Superman movie was part of their main kind of like bump that they would have, showing like all the highlights of the films that they would play.
Yeah.
And it also came on a few times. And I must have watched through this thing at least once, because I do have small bits of nostalgia for it. It's certainly not something like you, where I assume you watched this like, probably a half dozen times or more when you were a kid. But
well, absolutely. But let me tell you this. I mean, like I also do remember. When I say prize fight, I mean specifically the Toonami airing of it was kind of like a big prize fight, saying this night you get to see Batman and Superman meet each other for the first time. But the other network, though, they probably not the other network, sorry, the other thing they had set up.
Oh,
because the Toonami, if I'm remembering, was primarily Saturday night, so it was a Saturday night thing on Toonami.
Right.
I want to say it's been years, folks. And
Toonami in the '90s was all on weekdays, actually.
Okay.
They had an episode of Dragon Ball Z every week, every day, and it was serialized and whatnot.
I just want to say I'm so glad Toonami's still stuck around after all these years. Now it's kind of back in some way.
Yeah.
Regardless, so like on Toonami and kind of the what was the thing you were talking about, Cartoon Theater?
I'm just going to call it Cartoon Theater. It might be something different. If anyone knows in the comments what we're talking about, please.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I just can't remember. Was it Cartoon Theater? Was that what they called it?
No, I don't think they called it Cartoon Theater. Cartoon wasn't involved with it. That was like its own thing.
No, I'm just saying since
the cartoon thing they mostly did with the Cartoon Fridays, which also you and I have mad nostalgia for. But
absolutely. Anyway, so point is the Cartoon Network had been advertising this event big time because they have. I remember their ads in the comics and like saying the little verses, essentially like little Superman on one side, Batman on the other side. This thing was advertised like all get out.
Mm-hmm.
And just the build for this for me as a kid was like because how much I idolized the Batman the animated series, how much that's ingrained in my DNA practically. And
now for me it was kind of different. Like for me when Batman was on, I was like, oh, where's my cartoons? Where's my Animaniacs? I was an Animaniacs kid. You were a Batman kid.
For me, my block was again my childhood, my beloved days as a 5-year-old. Where Batman, we're coming home from school every day, and I'd be watching Batman the animated series, then Freakazoid. Those would be
hell yeah!
The most awesome block ever, or vice versa. I can't quite remember the order, but that would be the block because I remember being so energized by the Batman credits. But regardless, every time I have the animated Batman reintroduced into my life, it was a big thing. There are 3 key points of that. Of course, the animated series and the ending of each episode just got me so jazzed in my mind with those credits, as I just mentioned. Then there'd be the moment where, this moment in particular, where this would be the first time we'd be seeing Batman since the animated series. Remember, this is him coming back for the first time and with a new look. I was kind of blown away. Man, he looks awfully different, but it's Batman. He's back again.
Right, right.
And the third time for me was a biggie. It was when they came out on DVD. It was like, oh my god, like it's been years since I've had Batman in my life. And now I have it at my disposal. Back when DVD was like the holy grail in my hands.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean these three episodes were combined into the hour movie. And this is my big memory of it as a kid. Less so the original airing. Don't get me wrong, I watched that, I tuned in, but the big thing for me was again the advent of the DVD. How
Of
important that
course,
was
of
for me. Where
course.
I had it on I had the hour edit of the movie where it's the three episodes put together, no credits in between. That's how I can barely remember the three episodes individually because again they aired it like an hour movie when it premiered.
And it plays like a movie. Like, it plays really well. I would not have known that it was 3 episodes stitched together. I guess I should have figured that was what it was, but
That's the thing.
no,
It's intended to be a movie, I guess, but it's just that's how it was produced.
It's a lot better than Stewie Griffin: The Untold Story, where that's just like, oh, here's a setup and a payoff, leading into another setup and a payoff, leading into another setup and a payoff.
Yeah, seriously, let me regale you real quick about the World's Finest DVD. Again, as a kid, I would watch the heck out of this thing because again, it's the first time Batman, Superman in their animated versions. Again, some of the best animated versions are meeting each other, and it's just I remember like the DVD. I still have the DVD to this day. I was watching it again and again for the movie coming up. And the DVD cover is still horrible, though. I will say this: the cover art of this DVD is terrible looking. Like everyone's off model, like Luthor, Joker, and Batman. Their chins are lumpy. They look ridiculous. But still, I mean, as a kid, I never even noticed that until now. But I watched the thing. I remember the interactive features, the DVD bonus features. There weren't any commentaries or anything until the Superman DVDs came out. But on this thing, though, they had like these interactive features. You basically get to replay the events of the movie. Like you select the thing that the Batman uses to get Superman out of this situation. You click the acid, and it plays the clip from the movie. It's like very lazy DVD feature wise, but it's like you remember those old features on the DVDs though for kids, right?
But as a kid, you're like, oh, I get to tell Batman what to do.
Yes,
oh
I mean,
my
that
God.
was, you gotta remember, as a kid, like, that's the Arkham games before we had Arkham games. Essentially, that's what it was on a DVD. You're playing an Arkham game on a DVD. That's how sad it was back then. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, you remember those being like
sure.
DVDs,
The ones that I have the most nostalgia for are the Harry Potter ones where they'd have it like interactive classrooms and stuff like that.
And here was the big thing for me, though, really big thing. I remember Bruce Timm, like the first glimpse I ever got of Bruce Timm, really, that was in my mind as a kid of like, oh my God, this is like kind of the mysterious, oh so mysterious creator behind it all. There was a little 2-minute short, I guess, about like how to Batman and Superman day and night. And basically, Bruce Timm's talking about he's drawing Batman and Superman as he's talking, and he's just saying, "Oh yeah, well when you want to put these two guys together, it's really kind of embodying day and night, showing some clips from the thing, keeping your attention, but at the same time you're hearing this guy kind of talk about the creative process. It's really brief, but it was so impactful though. Just like this idea of there is some thought that has to go into kind of putting our favorite heroes together and like kind of what dynamic they would have, and say no, they wouldn't be friends. It's like, oh my God, it's so brilliant." That's all as a kid, though. It's always just hit me as like getting a little glimpse of the creative process of something I love so much.
Well, I feel like a lot of casual comic book fans, or even people that aren't comic book fans but just know about Batman and Superman, like they're asking a lot of questions, like why would Batman and Superman fight? You know what I mean? It's very confusing for an audience who's like not in tune with like the moral and philosophical dilemmas of Batman and Superman.
It's like every time all the movies and all the stuff coming out, my mother keeps asking me, like, why is everyone fighting? I gotta explain. Okay, so Bucky's come back. Like she's seen Winter Soldier. I gotta explain. Yeah, so the end of Winter Soldier. Remember what happened to Bucky? So Bucky, he's still okay. Anyway, all that stuff.
Yeah.
The last thing that mentioned my nostalgia here is like this was really my first introduction to Superman the animated series.
Okay.
Of course, I know. We all know Superman. He's like he's grandma. He's apple pie. That's what Superman is.
I actually grew up on the Fleischer shorts, which still hold up to this day.
Absolutely, which even I remember those. You know, it's just it's ingrained in the culture. Superman, as is Batman, but especially Superman. But with that though, again, I never really experienced before this crossover as a kid. I mean, I've probably seen Superman advertised on Kids W. I've probably seen a few episodes, but nothing really kind of stuck me because again, Batman was like a ritualistic thing I did. Superman was more Saturday morning, where Batman was kind of reruns at the time. You know, and anyway, so this is kind of the first glimpse of Superman. And I was like, so you get it. It doesn't like waste time on a first introduction. It's like Superman operating in the world, and like you know so much about Superman and ingrained in the culture. It's like you don't need to really be filled in on anything. And of course, years later, when I watch all of Superman animated series, I'd be like, wow, this works even better now. We've gotten to know the guy, and we get to root for the guy.
Right.
But again, it's like so really nice little first glimpse at Superman and his world. Like Batman is kind of the big backbone of this thing, yet it's Superman's show, and when you find out it's 3 episodes of Superman's show strung together, Batman's just kind of overshadowing it in many ways. Okay, anyways, that's enough of my fan gushing. Anyways, that was all the nostalgia I felt. I had much love for this movie.
All right.
Okay, so let's break down those 3 acts.
Yeah, now in the appropriate time to do such a thing. Yes.
Okay, so our first act essentially goes from the essentially, again, being the best parts, the whole meetings, the first meeting of Batman Superman. That's the whole first act, where it ends. There's kind of the first interactions between them.
So it basically ends at the airport with like Bruce flirting with Lois and everything like that.
Sorry, I mean it ends with the I guess kind of the meeting of the costumed, of
okay. I'm sorry.
So let me walk you through it real quick. It's basically highlight kind of the bullet points here. So Joker steals the Jade Laughing Dragon little statue from an antique shop in Gotham. Batman discovers it's kryptonite, and he uses the excuse of Bruce Wayne having business with Lex Luthor to go to Metropolis to kind of maybe kind of warn Superman, but also at the same time to catch the Joker, see what he's got going on. So again, he has business with Lex in Metropolis. So Lois hits it off with Bruce Wayne, much to Clark's dismay. Joker makes a deal with Lex to kill Superman for $1 billion. Pay me $1 billion to kill Superman.
$1 billion.
Luthor shows Bruce Wayne the Wayne Lex T7, the giant kind of robotic reconnaissance exploration probe. Yeah, basically it's like Mars. It's like a spidery Mars rover.
It is spidery. Yes, very spidery.
No, I mean spiders.
Better hide under a rock, Superman.
Oh my God! I feel so stupid. This just dawned on me.
Like the giant mechanical spider thing.
Yet another case of giant mechanical spiders.
Yes, that just dawned on you. That's the first thing I thought when I saw it.
It's so intriguing. It's so. You gotta remember, I have the blind spot to this movie because I'm so intrigued. Like, oh yes, of course, Luthor has these giant mechanical probes. I never thought, oh yeah, it's tying into the mechanical spiders thing.
It's spiders. Oh God.
Then again, if that is the case, I think
John Peters got the idea.
Then again, it may be a coincidence because that was in the '90s when all that business was going on, though.
Right.
I don't know how up to date that was.
It was 97, and the movie got canceled in what, like 99?
That's the thing. So I don't know how word could have spread on that. I think it's just a happy coincidence. Maybe that's why.
I like to think that it's just John Peters taking an image and running with it. But
okay, anyway, so basically, Bruce shoots down the idea of using this reconnaissance program for Lex. Lex wanted to use it for military applications, which we know means gun, and Bruce does not like guns. Joker muscles in on a local gang. Batman goes to a nightclub for answers, and he meets Superman for the first time, but they're not super friends quite yet.
I like how Superman just instantly looks through Batman's, mask.
I won't have vigilantism in my town, you Pete. And basically, by the end of the first part ends with the two of them finding out who each other are as Batman. You can't just get one up on Batman without him kind of doing a double to you, just showing you like, hey, I'm right outside your house, buddy.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
And at the same time, you're on the phone with Lois Lane. I'm schmoozing the girl you like. Ha ha ha. Okay,
let's just pencil in the favorite scene. Let's just pencil that into favorite scenes right now.
Absolutely. So Act Two essentially is kind of the until the trap is laid. So basically, Joker kidnaps Lois Lane as bait for Superman. Superman goes to the LexCorp lab in his lead suit. He's wearing his Sunday best, to quote the Joker. Joker uses the acid, which again is a standards battle that now they're able to get away with because it's Superman, and it's Kids WB was much more forgiving than Fox was with the censorship thing because Joker.
I guess so, yeah.
Until Mask of the Phantasm, Joker could never use the acid because that was kind of a gutsier movie, and this.
Also, there is a major scene in a strip club, which kind of threw me off.
Well, it wasn't necessarily. They were kind of doing the rave nightclub thing.
Yeah, I know, but you know what it's supposed to be. Anyway, do you know that there's like There's like a strip club called the Flamingo Lounge that's like a block away from Disneyland. And Monkey had to drive by it every single time he went to Disneyland as a kid.
That's not traumatizing at all.
And he'd be like, Mom, Dad, I want to go in and see the flamingos.
You get flamingos wearing lipstick and red dresses, and it's like,
oh God.
oh God. And like a little carving on the wall saying happiest place on earth.
I apologize, Monkey, if you didn't want that getting out. I apologize. Anyways.
Okay, anyway, so Joker uses the acid, which again is a standards battle he got away with, because again, it's using on Superman, he's fine. Uses the acid on the lead suit, leaves him and Lois to expire at any time. Batman saves him with some quick thinking with some hydrochloric acid. Luthor's not happy with the Joker after a kind of big public event at the LexCorp lab was used, and oh my God, the Joker's been spotted there. Luthor, are you connected to this? He's not happy at all, but he gives him one last chance. Batman pays a little visit to Luthor following this, and it's awesome. We're gonna get to that. Anyway, so then Luthor realizes, yes, I'm gonna have to arm Joker with the tools to get rid of Batman. And basically, the second part ends with Batman walking into a trap, basically having the giant Wayne Lex T7 waiting for him. Okay, let's see. Act 3. Superman's responding to the other part of that trap, the distress beacon. This third part pretty much goes to the end.
Yeah.
As Batman battles the robot and saves Lois, it's revealed that he's Bruce Wayne. Joker foils Lex's double cross and takes his toys for a spin. And by toys, I mean his giant smiley wing.
Oh, it's like 20 times as big as Batman's airship.
We get our Batman-Superman team up at last. The two stop Jokers.
Yeah, they fit into an hour what Zack Snyder's going to do in 2.5 hours.
Well, technically 3.
Technically.
And R-rated.
Oh, Snides.
Point is, Batman and Superman, they team up to stop Joker from wiping out everything with Luthor's name on it, which happens to be half of Metropolis, which is not ideal.
Right.
Joker, quote-unquote, dies, as he tends to do.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
By exploding marble, which is pretty neat.
Strengths and weaknesses.
Oh, come on. He always comes back.
That's a big con for me. I'm
going to tell you why it's not a con when we get there. I'll tell you why it's not a con.
Okay.
Anyway, so then all is well. The world's finest respect each other, and the episode ends. The whole movie ends.
All right. So let's get into characters then?
Yes, characters. So I guess we should start with the most popular.
Batman?
Yes, absolutely.
Batman. Bruce Wayne is such a player in this thing. Like, I honestly think Bruce Wayne has more of a character than Batman does to play here, and I think it's great. I think we really do get to see both sides of Bruce Wayne and Batman. We get to see his Playboy mode in action, and I honestly think his relationship with Lois is one of kind of the stronger points of the special, to tell you the truth.
It is. I mean, he's so darn charming.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, really, in this special, Batman as a whole, Bruce Wayne and Batman, he's in control this whole time. You get to see various points where you see Batman in control, and he's the pinnacle of cool. He sweeps Lois off his feet, and you can definitely see there's an attraction. There's a genuine attraction there. I mean, I love on Batman's side here. I love that he's playing detective, collecting it. If you really look at this, you kind of examine this, you kind of see what Batman's kind of going through in this whole thing. He's playing detective, collecting information on Superman. So on his date, when he's with Lois, he's asking, like, how do you summon him? How do you contact him? So, there's no signal. What if you need help?
Totally.
He's usually there, and again, so the point is, he's just kind of probing. If you're in Metropolis and you want to find out about Superman, the guy you're contemplating helping out here, just kind of seeing if he's kind of first time he's meeting this guy, a super powerful alien from another planet. You want to get to know the guy a little bit. If you're in his town, so how do you get to do that? You talk to the person he's had most interactions with, being Lois Lane. It doesn't.
I can see like a super intense version of the scene going down with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Oh God, Miss Lane, I need to ask you a few questions about Superman.
Okay, now it doesn't hurt that he also kind of takes a liking to her because Lois Lane, 1G, is voiced by the lovely, the talented, and the very sensual Dana Delaney.
Oh yeah.
But of course, it's Lois Lane too. There again, it's just the instant attraction they have is also aiding in him kind of playing detective or getting some answers on how's Superman work in this place. Again, I think what it boils down to, why the attraction's there, is that he's just intrigued by a woman so committed to her craft that she's involved in all this dangerous stuff. She can handle the danger. It's like she handles the danger a lot better than '89 Vicky Vale.
Oh God! If
Yeah,
that's
Lois
not
Lane.
the
She doesn't
case,
scream at her. Lois Lane only screams when
man.
she's on the way down. When she's on
I
the
assume,
way.
I assume you saw the Honest trailer today.
No.
Yeah, they had like a whole montage of Vicky Vale screaming from that movie.
Seriously, she did scream ridiculously too much in
Oh
that movie.
God!
And what makes it worse is the fact that she says, "Oh yes, I've been in Corto Maltese. I've seen a bunch of dead bodies. Ah, Batman. Ah, he's doing the melting thing. Ah."
All right.
Just ridiculous. I mean, in comparison, I think just Bruce is kind of impressive. Like, man, it's a woman I could actually maybe see things working out with.
Mm-hmm.
Also, again, the big reason Batman's there, he's concerned about the Joker, and I think kind of the subtle thing is that he's more so concerned about Joker in uncharted waters, and he wants to protect Superman from the Joker on some level. It's like, man, this guy doesn't know what he's dealing with the Joker. You expect the unexpected from the Joker. This guy has no idea who he is and how dangerous he can be. He might underestimate him because he's Superman.
Okay.
I think by the end, he just kind of comes around on him by having I think Batman comes around on having kind of some super help when he needs it.
Yeah, that's kind of his arc for sure.
Just a little, because you can't change Batman too much. The whole thing about not taking the opportunity of change. It's usually Bruce Wayne's lot in life.
It's pretty decent lead-in for how their dynamic is with Justice League.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's get to
right.
the super one of the group.
The soups. Yeah.
Soupy.
Oh God. No soups for you.
Oh my God. Sorry, it's just really funny. No soups.
I'm glad you enjoyed that.
Okay.
So Clark Kent is just like basically going through a lot of relationship drama right now with Lois. I like this whole I really like the whole dichotomy that they set up where it's like Lois Lane likes Bruce Wayne, but she doesn't like Batman, and then she likes Clark Kent. No, she likes Superman, but she doesn't like Clark Kent. And of course, by I mean like A. Arnold style. But
if only they could mix and match.
Oh God, yeah. So I don't know. I actually think Superman, much like I'm sure he'll be in the Batman vs Superman movie, he's probably got less to do than Batman does, but he's got a good role. He's got a good role.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's mostly to do with sympathizing with Clark Kent. I think that's kind of where he really comes to shine in this movie.
Oh yeah, I mean he feels threatened. He instantly feels threatened by Bruce with Lois, because again, it's like that painful thing in this show is that no, I'm not saying painful in a bad way. I'm just saying you feel for Clark Kent is that, they don't really play up the whole kind of bumbling Clark Kent like the Christopher Reeve version. They play him a little more like George Reeves, where he's just they're kind of a rival to Lois Lane. But he's good friends with Lois, and he knows that she'll never go for a guy like him because one, he's kind of a coworker, and he's ultimately in the friend zone in that show. But Superman and her do have a connection, though. That's the thing. That's this weird dichotomy of well, she really loves Superman, not Clark Kent.
I really do love how cocky Superman is with just instantly doing the X-ray vision with Batman and knowing his identity and everything like that.
Oh yeah,
he's definitely got some moments of badass.
Yeah, they really don't get off on the right foot.
No, they don't.
Yes, I love what you said there with the X-ray vision thing. Is that he takes charge of his city, but he finds that Batman is definitely full of surprises because he does that. Then instantly, he's tracking him down to his home and he's pulling out the kryptonite he doesn't suspect. So I mean, he's underestimating Batman, which again is what Batman's, I think, on some level is afraid of with the Joker, and he does underestimate the Joker, which leads to him almost dying.
Right.
Yeah, it's not that Superman's cocky. So he's kind of not. He's just kind of landlocked into his city. He's not thinking globally, which I think definitely plays into the rest of Justice League, how he kind of thinks of kind of not underestimating anyone.
Totally.
I mean, the Superman animated series did kind of have a great grasp on kind of Superman's learning curve, where he kind of learns from his mistakes, and he's always thinking of how to kind of broaden his thinking.
Which I honestly think we're going to get a little bit of with Batman vs Superman. I think that's one thing that Snyder is going to kind of correct the errors of this ways on a little bit, but we'll see.
I would hope so. I gotta tell you,
It's kind of funny. Like we're going to date this whole goddamn podcast talking about like, oh, I hope this thing's going to be that way in Batman vs Superman. Enjoy this podcast while it lasts, folks, before it gets super dated and all our predictions just go out the window.
That's why I wanted to save that for the end.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, let's see. So, I mean, right off the bat, Superman doesn't appreciate Batman's methods, but towards the end, he does kind of see the validity in a few of them.
Mm.
But again, much like Bruce Wayne, he's not really changing that much. Superman, again, he's learning and he's applying that knowledge to how he operates. But again, he's not going to change, be all dark and edgy and anything. We don't see him putting on a cowl. Well, actually, in one episode, he does actually put on Batman's cowl, so that really so.
Is it like he's drunk at a Halloween party or what?
No, I mean Batman goes missing and Superman has to dress in a Batman costume to pretend to be Batman in Gotham. And Robin has to give him pointers like, hey, kick the desk. What? Kick the desk. Kicks across the room.
I really want to see that now. That sounds awesome.
It's called Nighttime. It's a really great episode. There were three crossovers. This movie, Nighttime, and Demon Reborn, which had Superman and Batman going up against Ra's al Ghul.
Okay.
Which was also
Anyways,
back to this. Let's see anything else in particular about Superman in this. Again, he really doesn't like vigilantism, but I think this is kind of a fun. The last thing we'll say until we get to the end, I guess, of Batman v Superman is that I think it's going to be like a fun reverse here because he doesn't like vigilantism. By the end, he kind of sees Batman knows what he's doing, kind of puts some trust into him. And sure. I think the reverse is going to be for Batman v Superman, where Batman has the experience and he's kind of like seeing this guy as a real vigilante, and we got to, by the end, hopefully he'll realize, this guy he's learned from his mistakes. He knows he's on the right path.
Well, by the end, they're going to be exchanging jokes with Wonder Woman. It's like, I thought she was with you, and that's what the trailer, spoiled. But whatever.
Exactly. I mean, still, either way, the Clark Kent doesn't like.
She was with you, person that 10 minutes ago I was really pissed off at and wanted to kill.
Well, come on, again, this
is a joke.
Okay, but to make it relevant here, this movie just kind of started that idea of you kind of know the structure of this because this movie is so awesome. You kind of have that kind of building into that movie.
No, that's very true. This movie definitely established the whole formula of Superman and Batman have ideal differences. They fight, then there's a bigger threat, and they have to team up. That's definitely a winning formula.
Now, let me tell you a real quick story about the voice of Superman here. It's pretty funny. Okay. Tim Daly, lovable voice of Superman. He was the original guy. He does some very live action stuff with Kevin Conroy, with the other voice actors. Really neat. Tim Daly. Everyone look it up. The Daily Show with his name spelled. Point is, Tim Daly, when he recorded this, he was just usually kind of the best quality about it. He was the soft-spoken Superman, kind of the intelligent, soft-spoken Superman. And when Kevin Conroy came in for this, the first time he ever met Kevin Conroy, Kevin Conroy's got a deep, booming voice.
Sure.
And he just, the whole Joker has a whole lot more than this. Anyway, so there's hearing Kevin Conroy's voice, then Tim Daly starts to deepen and deepen, trying to sound macho like Kevin Conroy. So he's doing the Superman sound a little more serious, a little more to the point. I don't like vigilantism in my town, that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
So he's just trying to kind of man up with Batman in the room. Again, it's a power. It's a male dominance going on here. It's my city, my cape. Little fun story there. Okay, anyway, so let's enough macho-ness. Let's go to some feminine wiles here.
All right. So I feel like Lois is very competent here. I feel like she's got a good role to play.
Very true. Again, I love Dana Delaney, and let's just say Dana Delaney, she voices Andrea Beaumont in Batman Mask of the Phantasm. That's what got her the Lois job in the first place.
Nice.
Because they loved her so much, and she did such a great job in that movie. They said, well, let's make her Lois Lane, and she's an excellent Lois Lane. I mean, really, if you lump in animation to it, I mean, she is the definitive Lois Lane.
We've already talked about her relationship with Bruce, but I there's a lot more to her than just that. I like how she's genuinely struggling with the whole thing, Bruce being Batman and everything like that. That's a big reveal for her.
It's the way it kind of starts is that, Lois, in the animated series, they really couldn't, because you gotta remember, they are playing the kids, and kids they don't really care about relationship stuff.
Right.
So it was there, but they couldn't really kind of devote an episode into it. It was kind of there and in the background. They would see it in as best they could. And this is a rare example. They really got to kind of like have a moment to really focus on that again with all the kind of the Bruce stepping in stuff, where they can actually kind of play with that idea of Lois Lane having feelings for Superman but not for Clark Kent, and particularly here at the beginning there, she and Superman are having relationship troubles, where she wants to maybe like. Essentially, she just wants to ask him out for a cup of coffee sometime. And then she realizes, well, yeah. Then she hears like a bank robbery. He's got to fly off and leave her with the check. That's what's going to happen. And plus the fact that she's dating such kind of she wants to date such a virtuous, nice guy. She thinks she's out of her leash. She's very self-deprecating. And Dana Delane brought real humanity to Lois Lane. So she's kind of wondering, like, she'll feel bad if well, I'm sure you're going to leave at the last minute and all that stuff. And then she says, yes, Lois, mimicking Superman. Yes, Lois, I am a total loser. Oh, thanks for noticing. That's right. She's it's like such a human quality. She sees that the relationship would be doomed to fail. But then when Bruce Wayne enters the picture, she sees, oh wait, look, such an interesting possibility, and we have chemistry. I mean, it goes to the point. A few days go by, and maybe a week or so. Time passes. She gets to the point where she contemplates leaving the Gotham with Bruce Wayne. I mean, things get that serious. And Superman's actually sweating. And again, out of respect and care, she doesn't write the story of the century, which would expose Bruce Wayne as Batman. And that's an awesome move on her part.
Yeah, it's like I feel like that's the point where she, it's like she very much cares deeply about Bruce, but at the same time, she kind of knows that it's compromising her career to be with him in a certain way.
So they have to part ways, and it's sad.
Yes.
But
it's so sad.
Indeed.
All right, so should we talk about the big baldy?
Yeah, let's go to the dark side.
All right, so Lex, once again, I feel like Lex Luthor very much kind of in the center of the Batman versus Superman debate. Very appropriately, he's kind of off to the side, you know what I mean? He's kind of just doing his own thing. It's like the Joker is really kind of more what Lex's role is going to be in the new movie, I think, being the main guy who kind of comes in and is like, okay, guys, let's fight. Oh, wow, you really should not pick a fight with that person.
Oh yeah, but I tell you that again, the animated series Lex Luthor was kind of the best Lex Luthor ever. My favorite line in the first episode, Lex Luthor. By the end, like they had a 3-parter for Superman. It works like the Christopher Reeve movie. The Smallville, Metropolis. Smallville.
Yeah, right.
That's essentially how it works. Anyway. The ending of it has this fantastic introduction of Lex Luthor, which is fantastic. It's where Superman's like just hovering outside his door, and basically Luthor tries to bribe him, saying, "You want to work for me?" Essentially, he says, "So, Superman." Again, the hesitation on Superman gets here. Does yes, Superman. Listen, I basically saying I'm probably butchering this, but I built my technology, built the city, and it keeps it alive. My will keeps it going, and 2/3 of its population work for me, whether they know it or not. Pretty much says, why don't you float on in here so we can come up with a deal or an arrangement? Superman just hovers out there, giving him kind of a death glare and just not moving an inch. And Luthor like throws his model at him, like, "You say something, darn you!" and then Superman just twists the model in half and he says, "I'll be watching you, Luthor," and just flies off. And this Luthor's like, he can't sway this guy, and it drives him crazy because he says, "I know you can prove nothing." The point is, Clancy Brown was the best Lex Luthor. He's the epitome of Lex Luthor. Those are kind of the general direction. Again, we know he can't fill the shoes. That's the direction Eisenberg has to kind of go into.
And I'm stoked for Eisenberg. I'm stoked for the Eisenberg.
I definitely see I see great potential for Eisenberg. We'll see how that pans out, though. But let's not dwell on that too much. Anyway, the point is, Luthor here, I mean, yeah, you're right. He didn't have a lot to do in this, but still, it was kind of the consistently kind of good Lex. And he had his moments here which kind of showed up where Lex, particularly, he was a fantastic straight man to the Joker. That's what they brought here in this thing. It was showing the dynamic between Lex Luthor and the Joker, which really didn't exist too much in the comics. It was kind of there in one issue, but really they kind of from this special on where they kind of cemented the idea of, oh my god, it's like the perfect comedy straight man routine of Joker's
it's like the odd couple. I want to see these guys get an apartment together.
Yes. I mean, I love that. It's just kind
of, Lexi, we're out of soap.
And if you like that, if you want to see something like that, Tiki, seriously, check out something called Villain's Day Off, where they kind of make Joker and Luthor kind of reluctant best pals. Essentially, that's what it is, and I love the kind of dynamic here. It's like Luthor to the Joker is like, what if Batman were were Joker's criminal pal. It's like, it's like, what if Batman like took a Bruce Wayne literally? What if Bruce Wayne was a villain essentially? And Joker's best pal, and just he hated being with him, but it was like he hated being without him.
Oh God.
But at the same time, Luthor does have some really interesting bits. One of my favorite bits rewatching is like, guys remembered after it's been a while, and basically I've kind of held off on watching World's Finest until coming close to Batman v Superman coming out, just to remind myself how much what the new one has to measure up to. So the big moment was when Luthor was actually very impressed when Batman takes out one of the robots. He took it out. He's impressed. I love how he's impressed by Batman. That's awesome. Anyway,
I think Batman is actually kind of a guy who's very much up Luthor's alley in terms of, being like using his money to kind of like accomplish his goals and being very tech savvy and everything like that.
And the big thing that Luthor probably likes about Batman is like the fact that someone kind of standing up to Superman and saying, "Hey, I'm on par with you, even though I'm human." You gotta admit, Luthor has to admire that, and I think that's kind of the direction you should definitely go with Luthor. And I love that he's not amused by the clown. He's not amused by Joker, especially when it publicly links to him. You can see how angry he's grabbing Joker. You have to have some cojones on you if you're going to throttle the Joker by the lapels. Break into one of my laboratories. But you don't want to mess with Luthor in his bed. It's not as scary as angry Ed Begley Jr., but it's still effective.
Not quite.
But yeah, it's but big thing here with the Joker. One last thing, just kind of building and transitioning into our next character, I guess.
Okay.
This Luthor, as always, he hates how the media glorifies Superman as kind of the savior. Oh, Superman saved the president. Yeah, and he's like throwing the paper down. But when the Joker comes by and offers this deal to him, you think never in a million years would Lex Luthor take a deal with the Joker. I mean, he worked with some criminals. He's created a lot of them. And Superman animated series, that was a brilliant thing where you got to see him create a lot of the Superman rogues galleries, like kind of like a building.
Very true. He's
responsible for Parasite. He's responsible for Metallo, et cetera, et cetera. It's really clever. And when the Joker comes by, wondering why in the heck would he take this, but it makes all the sense in the world because he sees Joker. He's created a bunch of these villains and all these Metropolis-themed villains, and they keep failing and failing. So he sees Joker as a variable he's never considered, like someone who's completely out of his mind. He kind of goes toe-to-toe with a guy in a bat suit, but basically he also sees, importantly, kind of the businessman Luthor here that this animated series really put forward since the John Byrne run in the 80s. This idea of, Luthor sees kind of some plausible deniability. Well, if he does betray me, I can just say, oh, he's a crazy guy who took over.
Kind of very much a Suicide Squad logic right there.
Absolutely. It's plausible deniability. I have a crazy he took control of my labs and all that stuff. That's essentially what he does in the end.
Sure.
It's brilliant. Speaking of Joker.
Okay, so like I said, I think the Joker is definitely, obviously, I really like the idea of him coming into Metropolis, because Metropolis is much more of like a clean and happy city than Gotham is. Oh, yeah. I would actually compare like San Francisco as Metropolis and then Oakland as Gotham, with my Bay Area experience. So him coming into like this happy city is very much, with the laughing gas and everything.
Oh yeah. I think re-examining this, just kind of seeing after a long while, it reads to me that Joker's just having a blast of a business trip here. I mean, he's here for business, but he's just having the most fun business trip ever.
You know what? I have to go to the Anaheim Convention Center for business, but God damn it, while I'm down there, I'm going to Disneyland.
And I'm going to kick a puppy while I'm eating a corn dog.
Oh, God, no. There's actually a lot of stray cats at Disneyland, so maybe you can kick a stray cat.
Harley, bring me my cleats.
Oh, God. Just kicks one right off of the Sleeping Beauty drawbridge into the moat. Oh, God.
Remember, spay or neuter your pets.
So you want to be an Imagineer, does not endorse animal abuse. Okay.
Anyway, but no, I kind of, a lot of this is read into, but I don't think tell me if you think I'm crazy with some of this, Tiki. I think Joker, this is motivation for this, because some people do have an issue with Joker kind of out for money, but I think it's more than money. I think, and I could be crazy.
It's always more than money with Joker.
So I think with the more than money here, I think what that counts is that it's it's Joker's in a rut with Batman, so he goes to the easier target, which would be achieving a famous feat. When he has a giant chunk of kryptonite as disposal, he finds out there's this giant chunk of kryptonite. Wait a minute. Well, I'm a little bored with Batman right now. You know, I'm in a rut. He's beating me. What if I just kind of, in the meantime, before I circle back to Batman, I'm going to kind of go for a laugh here. I'm just going to go on a business trip, just kind of get a bunch of cash in my disposal, maybe have some fun with. Mainly, I'm going to kill the unkillable guy, and I'm going to get like just kind of. It's like I'm killing the world's one of the most beloved, powerful superheroes, which is going to make at least Batman maybe shiver a little bit when I meet him next time. So he figures.
Yeah, I can see that.
And again, Joker's plot here, and this has to be kind of his end goal. I mean, this sounds like a Joker plot here. Is he kill Superman, have Lois Lane of all people report upon it, collect $1 billion from Superman's arch enemy who never could achieve this. That's a good Joker plot. Again, it's not about the money. It's about just this, what it symbolizes. Like, yeah, I took down the biggest, baddest superhero. I mean, I can't. Yeah, I haven't taken him back. I keep him alive because I want to keep him alive because he's fun. But this guy, I don't really care about this guy. I go to another.
Superman's not fun. Batman's fun.
Yeah, again, it's just he's seeing Superman's like, you guys think he's untouchable. Look, I'm going to show you how easily I can take this guy. Again, his weakness is a green rock. Come on.
Right.
You guys love it, just Joe. That's kind of Joker's. I'm not crazy with that, right? So that's
no. I don't think you're stretching at all. I think that's a very good read on the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like it's the principle, and I love this too. Like Joker's retaliation for the principle of the $1 billion loss is, well, think about his plan is the upgrade to the plan. He's not getting his $1 billion, and he didn't kill Superman. What's he going to do in retaliation? Well, Luthor tried to double cross me, so I lost the $1 billion. So I'm going to make him lose billions. But less instead of like holding a gun to his head and going to an ATM, I'm going to actually destroy everything with his name on it. So I'm going to cost him billions, maybe even trillions. But again, destroying everything with his name on it, which again, innocent people being destroyed in buildings, and it's the most poetic, bombastic, and poetic way possible. It's very Joker-like.
Totally.
And my favorite thing with the ending, we'll get to it when we get the pros and cons, I guess, and I'll defend it. But I love the fact that he kind of is laughing at the fact that he's lost his marbles in the end. Think about it, he's just laughing. Oh, this is crazy. I've lost my own marbles. Again, he's laughing at the joke of it all. I lost my marbles.
Right.
I mean, if Joker's going to go, that's the way he wants to go, laughing at a joke.
Oh, totally.
Well, that or having Batman killed at the same time he's getting killed. It's kind of like a suicide pact sort of thing. Anyway, let's quickly fire through a few other characters just making an appearance here. We got Alfred, who's kind of have his good one-liners as per usual, voiced by the wonderful Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. Yeah,
Harley's in it quite a bit.
Absolutely, she's again kind of the Joker's Alfred in many respects.
Sure.
In many respects, she gets into a catfight with Mercy, and Mercy will be in Batman v Superman.
Yeah, I was wondering about her. She seemed pretty badass from the brief glimpses we see of her in this thing.
Oh, again, basically she's Luthor's Harley Quinn too. That's how cool she is. She is just kind of she was an original character just like Harley Quinn for the show. And they put her in the comics. She's just kind of the Luthor kind of go-to henchman, because way back in the day in the Christopher Reeve movie, the main henchman for Luthor was Otis. You remember Otis?
Yeah.
Basically, he just had comedic sidekicks in the movies. They feel, let's give him like a Harley Quinn equivalent of like a can-do-anything sidekick, like a less jokey Harley Quinn who's kind of like a fun kind of Lucille Ball type. Let's give him kind of the henchwoman you do not want to mess with, like the one who can get anything done.
Gotcha.
Like again, who's going to kick all the butt when Luthor has a business deal that goes down with like someone who's human? It's going to be Mercy. And again, there's an episode of Superman the Animated Series where Mercy actually, there's a really great, compelling backstory. Luthor took her from nothing and made her an everything, and that's why she's so dedicated to him. It's kind of like Harley Quinn's Mad Love with the Joker, but less psychologically damaging. It's more like Luthor is being captured and held and tortured by Brainiac, and she finds Superman, and they have to save him.
Right.
Okay, let's see. So again, we appearances because of my Gotham buddies here. Gordon Bullock.
It's like they stepped into another show.
Yep, and we got the redesign on Gordon.
Hey, Jim, why are we animated now?
We do get redesigns on them, by the way, in case you're curious. Gordon, he looks a little more sickly and older in the redesign.
Right. I did notice that.
The old dark joke of it was they said, well, Gordon, because he looks kind of sick, they said he looks like Gordon has prostate cancer.
Oh no! Oh God.
I'm just saying that was the dark joke that they said that was their rationale for why. Again, so basically Bruce Timm's embarrassed by some of the redesigns. And like one was, yeah, I made
As
Gordon
he
look too
probably
sick.
should be. As he probably should be.
And again, like, he does have a defense a little bit for the Joker because there was a mistake that happened with Joker they couldn't correct, which is why he looks a little bit the way he does.
Yeah, I guess, but it's
Also,
pretty bad.
we had some
Pretty
good.
bad.
Now we saw Superman's equivalent to Gordon Bullock. We had Turpin and Sawyer. So Maggie Sawyer's a big character. She's actually in the Batman comics now because she was in Gotham Central. She transferred from Metropolis to Gotham in the comics.
Okay.
And then there was a Dan Turpin. Dan Turpin, you'll notice in this version, he looks a lot like Jack Kirby, and so he's always kind of the living tribute to Jack Kirby in this show.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a very poetic episode towards the end, very referential to Jack Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one to mention would be Bibbo, voiced by the wonderful Brad Garrett.
Oh, nice.
Remember the kind of the sea captain, the clerk says, "Okay, let me know if you see any jokers." I says, "Well, yeah, what kind of jokers are we talking about?"
Right. Yeah, totally.
Brad Garrett, folks. Okay, so enough kind of listening through our characters here. I guess we should go to some favorite scenes.
Favorite scenes, all right. So can I just take the end of Act 1?
Yeah, sure.
Oh my God. Like, that is like the most badass Batman thing to possibly do. Like you said, it's like he's on the phone with Lois, and then Batman is just fucking standing there, like just looking at him. It's like, yeah, that's right. I know where you live. I know who you are. And I have your girl. I'm Batman, bitch.
And remember, they call back to that at the end. They call back to it at the end when Bruce Wayne says to Clark Kent, "Remember, if you can handle it, treat her right. Because if you don't, I know where you live."
right. I don't know. Just really good imagery. Really good.
For me, I just love the first meeting in general, where it's Batman and Superman each other, and Batman flips him after he says, "That's enough. You already know what you." He's told you everything he knows, and he judo flips. The only way he can do that to Superman is like a judo. It's like using his own weight against him, essentially.
Oh.
Also, the fact that Superman doesn't see it coming. That's the only reason he can do that, but it's awesome. And again, you see that what makes it really cool is just seeing the shock on Superman's face. Again, it's not like taking anything out of Superman. He's like, "Oh my God, this guy flipped me." He's impressed. It's like, wow, this guy's bold.
Right.
And also, again, I love the shot. I love everything about it, where just the way Batman, while he's talking to Superman, he's distracting him after he finds out who he is. He, swiftly, underneath the cape, he pulls out the kryptonite bag, and again, the way he flips the cape. I mean, kudos to TMS with the brilliant animation throughout this whole thing. The animation looks great this movie, am I right?
Oh yeah, totally.
The way he flips the cape over and he holds the little baggie of kryptonite, little evidence baggie of kryptonite in front of Superman, the green lighting, everything about it's like just showing you a little piece of rock completely makes Superman the guy who was just almost practically broke all of Batman's ribs when they kind of slammed him into that wall. Just now was cowering in the corner, showing you, yeah, Batman, do not mess with Batman.
Speaking of kryptonite, I really like the fight between Superman and then the kryptonite robot.
Yes, the robot. I want to just say a note this time around. I completely forgot about it. Joker really likes duct tape.
Yeah, he does.
Because Luthor is, think of it, he duct tapes Mercy, Luthor, and all these kryptonite rocks. Everything's taped with duct tape. And if we've learned anything from Daredevil lately, duct tape is not to be underestimated.
Oh God,
seriously,
no.
We need some duct tape for us. I'm serious. When we eventually get to Daredevil, we need some duct tape. Just to have, because apparently it's very useful.
Okay.
Regardless, though, I'm just saying, the the kryptonite fight was a really good, clever fight.
Especially, I love the payoff when when he takes the steel wall and puts it against the robot. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to thank Lex for using steel doors.
Well, using lead.
Lead doors. Oh, I'm sorry.
So they had when they're on each other's side and when they're working together, it's like he knocks is what you could always try the direct approach. He just knocks down the wall. You're learning. Superman doing the little after you, and he's just yeah, you're learning. It's hilarious. Batman giving a rare quip, a rare smile, you're learning.
Oh,
That's what the whole Batman Superman thing's all about. We didn't get too much of that, but it was like saved for the last act, when they're kind of working together. Really nice.
totally.
I mean, there were so many good moments. Just rapid fire through a few of the favorites here, but I mean, the dramatic unmasking of Bruce Wayne to Lois Lane, it's Batman saving someone. Me right off the bat, that makes me happy. I mean, but just the idea of the cape's getting caught in the rollers, and it's like peeling back as then the dramatic reveal, like Bruce.
Right.
Oh, he's fighting this giant robot, and he saves the day the last second. His lovely little sound design. He pulls the cape out of the rollers. Of course, the Luthor Joker deal is a great sequence. Just again, so Mercy's just been knocked out by Harley Quinn with this giant boxing glove.
God.
And this is gonna sound so silly, but just to show you some nostalgia here. Just as a kid, in my mind, Joker never wore socks because of the gag in this. I never thought Joker wore socks. Because he has the white leg and he does like the hitchhiker thing. Woohoo!
Right.
Oh, picking up the cute hitchhiker.
Oh, no, that is a very funny image.
It is. Okay, and you get to see, if you pay attention, there's like a purple car that drives up to the side. You can imagine, okay, that's Joker like pulling out. There's all the intricacies of him driving in front of them so he can have that dramatic entrance. Seriously, the whole deal sequence. Like you see the animation on Joker making his deal with Luthor is like sliding behind him a little bit, grabbing like the Corinthian leather flowers. Like they also quotes a little bit of a Deadpool reference, "Rich Corinthian leather."
Oh God!
Which I swear to God, I always think of two things. I think of the Rich Corinthian leather because it's in reference to the Ricardo Montalban thing, but I think of the Spy Kids use of that. But I also think of this, and then, of course when Deadpool did, I was thinking of those two things.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, just the deal sequence, it's really great, and just Joker's enthusiasm. I think of myself one of the best Mark Hamill speeches. Like it's in like the top 10 Mark Hamill speeches as the Joker when he's just kind of pitching to Luthor here. You and I were entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I've had a run of bad luck lately. Bad luck that wears a cape. And of course, one of the best moments in that thing is when Luthor says, "How do you expect to kill Superman? You can't even handle a mere mortal in a costume." His Joker grabs him with all the sincerity in the world. And again, I love he's not even joking. There's a smile on his face. Says, "There's nothing mere about that mortal." Again, like so defensive of Batman. Do not insult Batman.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
I will give you a Colombian necktie if you insult Batman. I swear to God. I will shove a Mr. Clean bottle where the sun does not shine. Which, by the way, I love the Mr. Clean reference. Just him saying, "You'll be Mr. Clean." Of course, he goes Mr. Clean. So again, I love all
Gary O'Quinn played like a bald guy on Lost, and everyone referred to him as Mr. Clean.
all the little references, all the little banter that Joker and Lex have are really great. And of course, speaking of Lex, big second favorite scene of the whole thing, short of the meeting between Batman and Superman, is Batman visiting Lex Luthor and how awesome that is. Because again, Lex Luthor is one of the coolest villains in the DC universe. One of the coolest villains. Again, behind Joker, definitely so.
And behind Mr. Freeze.
Well, I mean, there's like 5 cold-themed villains in the DC universe. Come on, there's like 5.
Captain Cold.
Icicle. There's Killer Frost. There's Icicle Jr. Anyway, my point is just like seeing Batman kind of interact with the animated versions of again the two manliest voices in the world, Kevin Conroy and Clancy Brown, interacting with each other. Just Batman, like kind of the minute he enters the room, Luthor is not prepared for Batman at all. Just seeing Luthor for once, like kind of caught off guard, just being a little. Again, he's not terrified, but he's like a little frightened of like he's surprised. Just him kind of moving in there and just like kind of gleaming up, and Batman doesn't say a word. It's getting really close to his face there. Just give him a back glare. It's awesome. And then he says, I want to talk about a mutual acquaintance. And anyway, so right behind him is Mercy, and just Luthor stalling so Mercy can shoot him. But no, Batman sees it coming, punches her. Poor Mercy gets so much abuse in this special. And by the way, take your volumes off just in case you didn't know. Okay, anyway, so just but Mercy gets so much abuse. So sad. So sad. Still no volume. Want me to keep going? Okay, I'm going to keep going while you're working on that. So, again, dramatic unmasking fantastic. The Batman visiting Luthor scene again, just like the fact that the guards burst in as Batman exits and Luthor's and he has an unconscious woman at his on the floor of his room and just wondering, just yelling at the guards, get out, get out. One is just peeved at him for not coming at the right time when he needed him to shoot at Batman. But secondly, it's the fact that they're not raising any questions. Oh God, that's the way the boss likes it. Again, his female his right hand woman just laying on the ground. So okay, I guess it's more intimate than we thought. It's Luthor likes. It's some comedy to glean from that.
All right, about now.
Welcome back to the land of the audible.
If you don't mind.
Sorry, what?
Move on, pros and cons.
Yeah, but I should tell you, you're sounding a little bit robotic. Robotic right now.
I'll just go with it. Just go with it.
All right. So let's see. So pros. Yeah, pros and cons.
I mean, I really only cons, and the two cons I have are why didn't they save Joker? Like, to me, that's almost kind of like Batman breaking his no-killing rule. And also just, the design of the Joker in general. I know there's excuses for it, but it's just like the eyes, man, it just makes him look so unintimidating.
Well, let me tell you about the design of the Joker, like a few things just to note of what's so different about it. Just so
it's like all the shots from the side and stuff are fine, but just when you get close-ups on his eyes, that's when it kind of kills it.
Well, the intention was the eyes were still Bruce was unapologetic about the eyes because what they were going for is they were going for like a pinprick sort of look. So in the darkness you have like shark eyes, and at points it works. In the darkness it works, but again when he's
in the darkness it works. I understand that, but
now eventually they fixed this in Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, where he had the red eyes. It basically was using this suit on the animated series Joker essentially.
Right.
Red eyes that in darkness would be red little pinpricks. So they kind of got that later on. But again, it was like a learning curve of the DC universe there. Mm-hmm. But here was the mistake, though. Bruce Timm intended to give Joker lips. But,
right.
Basically, he kind of at one moment he didn't put the lips on there, and he was experimenting with the look, and just someone brought up, hey, shouldn't you give the Joker lips? And he says, no. Well, basically. He meant to, but it went through without anyone kind of questioning it. When like Paul Dini was the only one saying it, and just complaining about it afterwards. And hilarious the way Bruce Timm tells his story. It's like Paul Dini complaining to Jean McCurry like she's the mother. Just like, Jean, Bruce Timm put lips on the Joker. Seriously, that's how they tell that one. Just like, but Tim he deeply regrets not putting lips on the Joker, realizing that definitely looks bad.
For sure.
And then this, however, again, the Joker's look deteriorates in the Batman animated series because they made him a little blue in the skin color, made him a little smaller, which again didn't work. Mm-hmm. I mean, here compared to that, this is a little better because he's much more white, much more still imposing physically.
Mm-hmm.
That take what you can get. Again, I mean, Mark Hamill's still on the money with the performance and the characterization. Now, let me tell you why why did we start with cons over pros first, though?
I don't know, just because like pros, it's just like it's really good. I mean, just kind of in a blanket, it's it's Batman and Superman meeting. It works really well. Joker is, Joker besides his look works really well. I like the dynamical flex. I have a lot of pros for this movie, but I only have two specific cons. So that's
let me go with
jump to those.
Let me go through the cons real quick here. So before I'll circle back to a few pros, and then we'll get not a lot of pros because I mean overall. Utterly fantastic and beautiful. But the cons, though, your other cons, you're complaining about the Joker's ending.
I mean, my specific complaint is that, like I said, I feel like it kind of breaks Batman's no-killing rule, and that's what bothers me about it.
I think, I mean, we saw Joker going for a parachute, and I know we don't see Batman kind of see him put on the parachute, but I think it's one of two things. One, it's priorities would definitely be Harley Quinn, and Harley Quinn, if they can only carry two people, Harley Quinn and Lex Luthor.
I guess that makes sense. Makes sense.
I'm saying one, if they can only carry one person, those are the pros. But otherwise, I would figure Batman, being so an astute a guy, he's going to figure that he sees Joker getting the parachute in the corner, so he figures, okay, 50-50 chance he'll be fine. Otherwise, if he gets killed, it's by his own hand. It's not by my hand. It's a little out.
Fair enough.
Fingers crossed. This might
be that whole thing with Batman Begins.
I'm saying it's minorly that, but I mean at the same time, Joker will like cut the parachute lines and he'd plummet to his death. Come on.
Oh,
But no, seriously, I mean, he probably sees Joker in the corner getting the parachute on. He figures, well, Joker never dies in these sorts of situations, which in this case he doesn't. Seriously, it's like he blows up, and I always have this running gag where I'm with friends and we're watching Batman-related stuff, and Joker seemingly dies. It's like, oh, it'll be fine.
right.
It'll be fine. It's like, it'll be fine. Literally, the helicopter like blows up in one case. Like, no, it'll be fine. You'll walk away from it. You'll see. But no, but seriously, I mean, it's just him figuring he puts on a parachute or he'll be fine because he's the Joker at this point. He's been doing this for years, and Joker in the animated series over many times. This might fuel that more. I mean, Joker was literally eaten by sharks. He's been blown up. He's been eaten by sharks. He's plummeted to his death a few times. He's survived. He's fine. He's unkillable.
Oh God. So he's kind of like Wile E. Coyote in a way.
Yeah, I mean, that was the running gag in the comics too. Literally in the early Joker comics, he would die in various ways and still come back.
Oh,
every story would end with a Joker death, where you're wondering how. Literally, he was stabbed in the heart and he came back.
All right. So you want to? What are a couple more of your cons if you have them?
Okay, cons. The passage of time. It's again, most of these cons are like stuff I can buy because I'm just so in love with the thing. But like, the passage of time is like a little quick. I mean, Bruce falls in love with Lois over the course of about a week.
A week, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, they have good chemistry, and Lois kind of living kind of a fast.
But after
life.
a week, it's like she's ready to just like move in with him and move to Metropolis or move to Gotham and whatnot. So yeah,
it's kind of a big step. But I'm just saying, compared to like kind of nowadays, where you can kind of the Frozen thing, like you can't marry a man you just met. At the time, it was kind of like moving fast comparatively. At the time, that was still a lot of time compared to what we're used to now.
Sure.
Let's see. One other thing, this is like kind of maybe something that divides people. There's a lot of use of robots, having Batman and Superman fight robots. Do you have a problem with that, or?
No, I don't mind it at all. I love the robots.
I mean, I'm just bringing that up as like a general con because I think some people might have a problem. I'm just figuring people might have a problem with just fighting robots because there might be expanding other villains. Like, I don't have a problem with robots.
I don't have no problem with this whatsoever.
I mean, like in Batman animated series, he had a villain called Hardak, which basically produced robot duplicates, and he fought these things. And yeah, they weren't the. I didn't have a problem with them because one of my I love the follow up to it. But the point is, like, Batman fighting robots is kind of like a dividing point with some people. So I thought I'd bring it up. And in this case, I think it works because, again, they explain it well. It's a LexCorp, it's a Wayne Lex sort of robot. It makes sense that these things would be in development. Luthor secretly developing these things. And it's a way to have Superman get really violent fighting something without, again, worrying about it being a human thing or anything.
Right.
And I thought it made sense for a villain. Maybe the design might throw some people off. But yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's pretty cool. I don't see it as a counter. I thought it might be worth addressing. So I mean, yeah, you use a lot of robots, but they're used very well. Again, pros. I'm just going to rapid fire through the pros. It's first time in animation they met up and did not instantly like each other since the Super Friends. Very much like the John Byrne, Frank Miller stuff.
Right.
Which again, it's like the first time in animation they kind of did the rocky start, which is good. They're both very competent. There's no they both understand things. It's not like a dumb mind control misunderstanding thing.
Yeah, that's definitely they both kind of hold their own for sure.
Like there's no mind control thing or the obvious misunderstanding of like, oh no, you meant this thing. No, I meant the other thing.
Oh God.
Yeah, none of that. It's like they both have their positions like right off the bat. It's like, I don't agree with how you operate. I don't agree how you operate either. Again, there's tons of great and cool moments. I think the score is fantastic in this, by the way. My favorite theme of all of this is the Lex Joker theme. Like the dun, 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 dun. It's such a great... I could listen to that theme all day of Luthor and Lex just having their little deals. Remember, just like opens machine gun fire into the Joker's little hideout, and then Luthor walks in and that theme plays. That's so cool.
Sure.
Honestly, Lex, don't you think I feel bad enough? You come into my laboratory. I just love Luthor. Instantly, Harley's about to spring into action, like beat the crap out of Luthor. Says mercy, and then the cat fight breaks out. Yeah, again, overall, the animation looks very cool, very awesome.
Okay, so let's quickly get into the legacy of this and what it'll bring about and whatnot. Very appropriate time to do so.
So again, it's the idea of starting things out rocky, which is kind of an idea ever since this special has been kind of played with in the comics. Again, started out with John Byrne and Frank Miller. I don't know who did it first. I assume John Byrne, because John Byrne had kind of the Christopher Reeve-esque Superman, but it was different. He did like kind of the businessman Lex Luthor. That was all John Byrne stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which, of course, this show borrows heavily from the businessman Lex Luthor.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
But again, having a Batman and Superman that don't really, again, it's not they're instantly enemies or anything, but it's just they have a kind of a relationship that doesn't start at all smiles.
I feel like they're going to be more instantly enemies in the new movie. I feel like Ben Affleck's Batman is very much going to be unapologetic about, like, we need to take this guy out right away. So there's going to be some differences there. Now, you heard about the thing where the Riddler and Joker were almost in Batman versus Superman. So what do you think about that? Because it could have, like, if the Joker was in Batman versus Superman, then I feel like the actual plot could have been very similar to this. I don't know. It's kind of funny.
Well, I remember the villain I wanted in Batman v Superman. I wanted, when I was just thinking about it, even if it wasn't Batman v Superman, even if it was just the Superman follow-up, the only logical villain I could think of to be in the piece, aside from Luthor, would be Metallo.
Oh, right, for sure.
Again, it makes sense. It's a robotic villain. The reason that Metallo was going to be in Batman v Superman way back when, but then Age of Ultron came out, and they didn't want to have another robotic villain.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe they could save Metallo for Justice League or something like that.
Metallo's too cool it's so cool villain for Superman in the fight because it's a Luthor-funded thing. It's run on Kryptonite. That's how you introduce Kryptonite in the Man of Steel verse.
But no, it's just very cool to see, to see the two worlds come together, to see Bullock and Gordon up in Gotham, and then, by the way, we haven't addressed this at all on air, BlueDragonFive, so I just want to get your proper opinions about it on air. J.K. Simmons is Gordon.
I'm very happy. He was in my top 3 casting choices for Gordon.
The only thing that makes me sad is that now he doesn't get to be J. Jonah Jameson. That's the only thing that makes me sad.
Again, I wish we could live in a world where people could be smart enough to realize, okay, he's just two different universes. Okay.
Right. But regardless, I'm very excited about that casting. Anyways. And he's not dead, so that's a plus.
I know, and it's a question because the way Superman in the one clip one of the clips we've seen for Batman v Superman, it's been like next time they shine your light in the sky. When he says they, I don't know. I know they just announced J.K. Simmons, but we'll see if they have just a man in a raincoat just kind of flip the thing.
That'd be great.
We'll see. I'm not saying it has to. It could be Bullock for all we know, which would equally be cool because Bullock's never been.
That would be equally cool, I must say.
Bullock's never been in a Batman movie before. He's never been in a live-action Batman movie before. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay, so we're just kind of making predictions about the movie. Anything about the legacy of this special?
Okay, but importantly with the legacy here, again, the Joker-Lex dynamic was something that was really in this movie that kind of stuck with the comics and everything else afterwards.
This whole thing, I mean, it was obviously a jumping off point that proved that they could do Justice League. That kind of like you said, I feel like this movie very much established the formula of, like, okay, we're going to do, like Batman, Superman meet up. They have ideological differences. They clash. But then there's a bigger threat, and they team up. It's a classic formula. I feel like this movie really got that down.
Oh, yeah. And again, eventually in the animated universe, we got Justice League the Animated Series because of this dynamic, hence the current movies we're in. And also the Lois Bruce Wayne kind of attraction thing was kind of an interesting idea.
Sure.
It's not always in there, but it's just kind of the idea Lois and Bruce kind of have, they have a good dynamic with each other.
Like I said, I really do like the idea that Lois is attracted to one part of Clark Kent and one part of Bruce Wayne, and not the other part.
If only they can mix and match. And, technically, if they were really creative, they could mix and match. We're not going to speculate on that. Well, he's the Man of Steel, and he's debatably faster in the Flash. I'm just saying. You're like a strobe light; you'll never know the difference.
Oh no! Oh god! Really, we're gonna go there? Okay.
Okay, but seriously, I mean, the impact of this is, way back when they announced Batman v Superman.
You know more of the DC universe than I do, so just kind of tell me like the impact based on like how it affected the rest of the animated universe and whatnot.
Oh, the rest of the animators. Again, you couldn't have a Justice League animated series without this.
Absolutely.
This is them testing the waters. I mean, after this, you had other superheroes crossing over in the Superman animated series. You had Aquaman, you had Green Lantern, then Dr. Fate. They tested out all these characters, but based on this is the first one, they kind of brought another prominent DC character into the books. And again, if it didn't work, you wouldn't have that. It's kind of similar in the comics where Batman and Superman crossed over, and they were the two biggest characters, and they weren't even members of the original Justice League. They were reserve members of the original Justice League because there was remember the five of them fighting the giant starfish. You know,
Of course, of
Wonder Woman,
course.
Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Green
Uh-huh.
Lantern, Flash fighting Starro, but Batman and Superman were absent. And the old excuse in the comics was they were too busy because they were too popular in their other books.
Right, right.
And I love that's kind of like that's the way they're kind of getting the Justice League into that movie now. But the two of them are in the spotlight. Now the other ones are just kind of like squeezing in there. Like, come on, let's be in the movie.
Oh God, oh
But
God.
seriously, because of these two are the flagships. Like you poke the kind of they're the D and the C in the logo. Essentially, that's what they are.
Totally,
They're the
totally.
spokes in the
Yeah,
wheel.
yeah.
Without these guys, you have no DC universe. So it makes all the sense in the world. You get the rest of the DC animated universe with these two big characters kind of flourishing in their universes and that kind of paying off in the crossover.
Hmm.
So I guess final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts. I mean, I think we covered a lot in the legacy, but I mean, obviously, you have much more of an attachment to this than I do, so you can speak far more detailed, far more passionately about it than I can. But no, like I said, I probably watched this once or twice as a kid on cartoon theater. It didn't really stick with me in the same way, you know, like something like them playing the Iron Giant would stick with me. Like I remember the Iron Giant playing on cartoon theater, and that would be like a huge deal.
Which, just to make it relevant, ends with Superman.
Superman. Yes, we actually did a very good podcast on the Iron Giant and its connections to Superman. Look that up. Look that up. But but no, I enjoyed this a lot. You know, it's very much the thing I appreciated a lot about this BlueDragonFive, just as kind of like the DC animated stuff, is just how much of a genesis this was for everything to come after it. Like, I feel like this was almost kind of like the midpoint of the DC animated stuff, where it's like you have Batman the animated series to kind of like, you know, kind of build everything up, and then Superman. And now with this, it's like, okay, like now we can go in a bold new direction and really kind of start to take off and see these characters mold and transform. So yeah, really, really good project. Really glad we looked at it. And I've got some hesitation with Batman v Superman, but we'll see how it goes.
But just look, it's my final thoughts. Again, going forward with Batman v Superman, you got to remember this. To me, this is the standard I'm holding that movie to. So if it eclipses this, I'll be amazed. But this is kind of a big thing that kind of going to go up against, because I mean, you had your four big characters. Your Batman, your Superman, your Lex Luthor, your Joker, and that was just such a great kind of an economically told story that just kind of communicated so much and opened the door for so many things. And it was the meeting of two giants. Again, it was the first time in kind of basically the pinnacle of them in really fantastic animation, Batman and Superman respectively, meeting each other. Again, two things just kind of as pillars of my childhood, like great storytelling, great character, statements on a character told right. And it was such an awesome crossover, and just it just epitomizes what you love about these heroes. There's the two guys going about things differently. As Bruce Timm said, they are night, they are day. They're very different. It makes all sense in the world. Initially, they wouldn't get along until they realized eventually by the end, which of course, with these two guys existing in the same universe, they're going to realize at some point, we're after the same things. We're all about helping people. We're all about protecting our cities, and we're all about kind of helping the greater good. So we have to work together.
All right. Well said. So
making
why don't
them
you take us out?
making them the world's finest.
Nice.
Okay, so that brings us to an end, folks. So see you next time as you tune into the same animated bat time, same animated bat place. The next trip to the animated bat cave.
Yes. Oh, Lexi, tell me, why is there no shampoo in the shower? Because I have no hair, you clown.